A beautiful 4th of July comes to a close. In fact, it might have been one of the best 4th of July days in many, many years across the Northeast and Northern Mid Atlantic states with sunshine, seasonal temperatures, and low humidities. But of course, these things don't last, and the next round of changes will be getting underway as we move through this week. Take a look at that, whether there will be any severe weather to contend with or not, and a peek at the long range. All of that and so much more on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. And there's Joe Rayo on the left. That smile on his face, his hair perfectly combed, etc., etc. By the way, uh, just a couple of things. First of all, you may have heard some of my intro, but this had to be one of the best 4th of July weather days in a long, long time. With the low humidity, the sunshine, the seasonal temperatures. I mean, it really could not have asked for a better day for July 4th.
Yeah, but did you have a house full of people?
Oh, God, no. Nor
I
was
mean,
I.
I have a house. Half of the people who are upstairs right now, I
Yes.
have absolutely no idea who they are. They're mostly my they're mostly my son's friends,
Right.
and I don't know what it is. I mean, he has a house that's even bigger than my house, and I don't understand why he doesn't have all of his friends come over to his house on the 4th of July. But he's got his friends here. They've already been popping fireworks on my driveway. Every year I always have to clean off the debris, the residual paper and stuff that accumulates in the aftermath. Now they're going to go over to a local beach and blow the beach up. And
God.
I of course am here in the confines of what my wife refers to as the man cave,
Right.
and I will stay here. I will stay here for the duration. So
A
let
wise
whatever
decision
happens
on your
upstairs
part, by
happen.
the way. A wise decision on your
Yes,
part. Could it be?
exactly.
Could it be that? Uh, how shall we say? Your house has a cleaning service when this is all over with? Could that be the
Yeah.
reason why they're there?
Well,
Um, could it
let
be?
me put it another way. My brother-in-law, one of my two brother-in-law is my younger brother-in-law, and he's here. And of course, I'm fully expecting my son to come back tomorrow and clean up whatever debris needs to be cleaned up. I have a big pile of croquet balls and mallets outside, just outside the door here, and the whatchamacallits that you stick in the grass or whatever to push the balls through with the mallets or whatever, they're on my back lawn. I said, I ain't cleaning this up. I ain't going to deal with any of this. This is not my doing. Uh, so, and I
Uh,
know he said to my, and I know he said to my wife, he said, "You mind if Charlie comes over here and George and some of the George's friends or whatever like that?" And my wife, of course, big-hearted, she said, "Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, no problem."
well, yeah, I know. I hear you. Well, you know what, Joe? That's your kids. What are you gonna do? Say no?
Yeah, but I do miss one thing, and that is that many a 4th of July, when they were out going to the beach and blowing their firecrackers up and whatever, skyrockets, I was at home with my Yorkie, and my Yorkie, of course, dogs do not react very well to fireworks, and so I was on the couch with the dog, calming him down or whatever like that, and he'd lick my face every so often or whatever. But I'm going to be all by myself soon. I'm not going to be able to console anybody or anything. I'll just sit there and watch Macy's blow up the East River at 9:30 this evening. So
Well, you know what? You could always, Joe. You could always get another dog.
I could, except the dog I want another Yorkshire Terrier, and my wife says absolutely not. And she has a point because Yorkies, if those of you who have had a Yorkie, you know that by the age of 9 or 10, they have a problem with their breathing and their tracheal issues, and they also have problems with their back legs. They start to go on them. Ours lived for almost 16 years, and that's a pretty good long time for for a Yorkshire Terrier, but said, no, no, you cannot have another York. So I guess I'm not going to
Well,
have another dog.
you know my
But it was not my dog.
you know
It
my
started out being their
I
dog.
know it. That
It started out being their dog. And then when they went to college and had girlfriends and boyfriends or whatever, guess what? Guess who owned the dog?
I know, Joe. That's how it works. I hear you,
Yep.
but you know what? You know how I stand on this. Get a rescue. They are the best dogs. They are forever grateful for being rescued, and they do know that they've been rescued. And they're good.
Yes.
You know, it's a good deed you will be doing. And my dog, just like my other dog that I had, my Springer Spaniel, my dog is not bothered by fireworks or gunshots or thunderstorms. Nothing. Um, it's it's just I don't know. I'm two for two when it comes to all my friends with their dogs. All say how their dogs don't like thunderstorms, and some of them run into the closet and shiver and cower and all the rest of it. And I don't know. I bet two dogs back to back that have no thunderstorm or loud sound issues. So I guess I'm lucky. By the way, real quick before we get on to weather, you were talking about that episode that you were waiting for Perry Mason, and
Oh yes, Judy
yeah,
Judy Tyler.
right. So I happened to I watched it yesterday, and it was very interesting because it may be there is something about that particular episode that I think may be the only time it's ever happened on a Perry Mason episode, and that is that when it's over with, you don't know who the killer is. They did not solve the crime. The case was dismissed for lack of evidence, and
Hmm.
the district attorney said, basically said to Perry, how come you're not delivering me the killer? He said, well, it's your mystery. You solve it. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I didn't realize it till yesterday, and I had seen that episode before. That might be the only episode where the crime doesn't get solved, which was sort of an interesting twist. I am now, by the way, into the middle of the second season, which means I have watched 56 Perry Masons in a row, and I've come across some episodes that I actually haven't seen before. So that was a plus too. So um, I didn't realize there were about 4 or 5 episodes in the first season and 1 or 2 in this second season that I haven't seen. So anyway, gorgeous July 4th, Independence Day. Happy Independence Day to everybody. For those of you who um, are were educated the way Joe and I are, we know what Independence Day means. I saw a few things this morning. People being asked, what are we celebrating here on Independence Day, and nobody knew. So I guess it's one of those generational grow up holiday. The grown
Yeah.
ups know what it is, and nobody else does. So I mean that just speaks to this. That speaks to the state of affairs these days. But anyway, uh, we're kind of at this juncture here as we start to move along that they're outside of the tropics, if and when they rev up again, we're just going to be continuing to deal with these cold fronts coming through every couple of days, and there will be some shower and thunderstorm threats when they do, and shots of dry air and lower humidity behind each one that lasts for maybe a day or maybe two. And it gets warm and humid for a day or maybe two, and on and on and on it goes. I mean, it's I don't see anything that says it's going to be anything different, and that's exactly what I've been saying every day for the last two weeks.
It is amazing. And what we have going for us, well, going against us actually for tomorrow, is that we have this frontal line, this warm front that'll be approaching us from the south and west, and that is the one that is going to be carrying with it the threat of precipitation, probably tomorrow in the afternoon, Joe. I think overnight tonight, no problems, and much of the day tomorrow, I don't see any real problems aside from maybe a renegade shower, but by later in the day tomorrow and on into tomorrow evening with that warm front approaching and moving into our area, watch out for the threat of showers. And yes, watch out also for the risk of some thunderstorm activity. In fact, just a stone's throw away to the west and south, the Storm Prediction Center has marginal risk of thundery activity. And it would not be surprising if, from Pennsylvania or western New Jersey, a few of those cells cross through the immediate tri-state area. Again, sometime late in the day tomorrow, more likely, though, tomorrow evening.
Uh, by the way, before we get to that, just as a throwback to yesterday, because I thought of this after the show, we went off the air. So, there's still people complaining about the fact that uh, some areas where they had the severe thunderstorm watches up, that nothing happened. Okay. And of course, I was able to impart my usual comment on that, which was, sorry you didn't get the tragedy the destruction you were looking for. Maybe next time you'll be lucky. Uh, but the one thing that occurred to me was, I don't understand. Maybe you see this differently. I don't understand why the fireworks shows were canceled to begin with, because as I know it, they have to wait till after sundown before it gets dark enough so that fireworks displays are effective. And from what I remember, all of the thunderstorm activity that was going to happen was going to be pretty much done by 7 o'clock, or at the latest 8 o'clock. So I
Right.
asked the question: why were they even canceled to begin with? If they're gonna say that the forecast was for rain overnight, and well, okay, well that wasn't going to happen until maybe about 3 or 4 in the morning anyhow, and would be gone by 7 or 8 a.m. the next day, and that's exactly what happened yesterday morning. So I beg the question: why were they even canceled to begin with, when the thunderstorm activity, even if the severe weather had happened, would have been done in plenty of time for the fireworks to go off without a hitch? I mean, were they concerned about people traveling, maybe? But still, um, I don't. That's the thing. That's the part I don't understand. I don't get. That's the part I'm not getting here.
Well, was there not a rain check with a lot of these places? Were they canceled for 2022, or did they, in some cases, say, "All right, we're not going tonight. We'll try again tomorrow night, or we'll try again on Monday night"? I don't understand the scheduling of some of these things. If they did cancel for the entire season, or for this season, I mean that seems ridiculously absurd. They really didn't need to do that. But I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm not the one
I,
who's
mean, I imagine some places did have a rain day or whatever, but yeah, look, it's one of, if you don't understand, if you're out there, you're consuming weather information and you don't understand what what it means when there's risk, and the fact that there's also the chance that maybe they don't happen, you really are, you're really not very smart when it comes to how weather works. You're very, those people are usually very good at complaining, because those would be the same people that would complain, by the way, in a big way, if the thunderstorms weren't warned about and they wound up getting it. And my suggestion to those people is, you know what? Why are you even paying attention? If these forecasts are supposedly so terrible, do without them. Just why are you consuming information that you yourself are saying that it's terrible, it's horrible information, it's not accurate, but you're still consuming it, you're still watching it, you're still making decisions based on it. So I would just gently suggest to those people, do without it. Make the decisions that require some weather input without any information whatsoever, because, well, after all, it's going to be wrong anyway, and just go ahead and see how that works out for you.
Well, somebody on the chat board, Keith James II, or Keith James II, asking us, is it harder to predict storms like on Saturday or a nor'easter in the winter? Well, Keith, if you know that a nor'easter is on its way, you know that in likelihood it is going to arrive within a certain time frame, and if there's some kind of an outdoor activity that's going on, you cancel or you don't cancel, again depending upon the timing. It's more difficult, I think, in the summer, because what you're dealing with for the most part are pop-ups here and there. I mean, as we saw on Saturday,
Right.
some people got hit with some thundery weather
And
and
some people
showers,
didn't.
heavy downpours. and some people, a lot of people didn't. So it's harder to. And then we get into the case of people asking, well, you've got all these computers and everything. Why can't you tell me to the exact moment when? And to that I say, have you ever gone to Yankee Stadium or Citi Field? Yeah, I have. Have you ever sat in your seat and you've watched as foul ball after foul ball is hit into various sections of the stadium during the game? Yeah, I have. He said, well, tell me before the game exactly what section each ball is going to land. You know that it's going to be that the conditions are ripe for foul balls to be hit into the stands at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. The problem is you just don't know. The same thing with thunderstorms in the summertime. You know that the atmosphere is ripe when we have high levels of humidity, the dew points are high, temperatures are high, there's an unstable atmosphere. You know that they're going to be out there, just like the foul balls. Problem is sometimes you just can't tell which area of the tri-state region is going to have a pop-up or is going to have a shower suddenly hit at a specific time in a specific place. So it's you go along with that. That's kind of like what we're dealing with with thunderstorms in the summer. So and this is why you see a lot of the TV weather people. No, it's not going to be a washout. No, I want to stress this. It's not going to be a washout. There'll be some time during the course of the weekend when you may be underneath a shower, but don't worry about it. It's not going to last very long. And that's basically the Joe. As I agree with you, that's the kind of thing that a lot of these townships and cities and communities who had fireworks displays. That's how they should have played it. I mean, if they just play along, and you're right too, because after
Right.
dark, a lot of these probably have diminished because of the diurnal. A lot of these build up during the late afternoon, but they start shriveling up soon after sunset. That's the way they should have played it. They shouldn't be looking at their app
Oh, and I said,
seeing a lightning bolt at 9 o'clock.
I said yesterday, and I'll say it again. If you're using an app to make weather decisions, you really get what you deserve. Everybody today, when I went down to the dog park this morning, it was blue sky and sunshine, and we had a little bit of patchy morning fog, and they were all saying how showing a 68% chance of rain by 11 o'clock, by 11 a.m., and 60 to 70% chance of rain all afternoon from thunderstorms and downpours. And guess what? Not a drop, not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing. I have not had I've had very little rain here in the last 5 weeks here in Northeast Georgia. So it's been very. I mean, there's been thunderstorm activity around me, some, but as you noted, there's going to be that variation. Some places get more or some get less. And the other thing, just to finish it off, and then we'll just get into weather. If any forecaster were directly consulted on Saturday and if that forecaster had said it doesn't look like to me you need to cancel because these thunderstorms look like they're not going to be developing as advertised. I guarantee you the person on the other end of that conversation would say, well, how come you're saying that, but then, and then they will run the list of A, B, C, D, and E of all these other
Yes.
people that are saying something else. So it doesn't matter. You could tell them till you're blue in the face. They're going to wind up making the decision that they're going to make anyhow. So anyway, on that
Well,
note,
I've run into that. I've run into that from experience
yeah, we all
because we used to
have.
do at the weather service I used to work at. I mean, we used to do a lot of movie companies. They that needed a certain specific date and a time to get their shot. And I've had producers or directors say that very thing to me over the phone, Joe. And you know what I say back to them when they go down the list of, well, how come Frank Field or how come this person or that person is saying and you're saying this? And I say to them, because you're paying me, you're not paying Frank Field or all those other
Right.
people.
You're
You're
paying
you
me
know
and
if
you're
they
not
leave,
paying me enough.
yeah.
Yeah. By the way, where was it? John Charles made a very good point. He
They
said
cancel because the gates open a few hours
hours
before the
before to
show.
get the vendors have to get
Yeah,
ready. Yeah, no, and I get
right,
that. I get that.
right,
But you know what?
right.
It's a no-win situation. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, and then we can look forward to the next 4th of July if they're not having a rain date, or maybe they're going to do the fireworks next weekend. someone on the board pointing out that in Maywood, New Jersey, they're doing them next weekend. So, all right, let's go to the satellite loop. We've gabbed enough, and you can already see, Joe, the next weather system. How shall we say, as Tom Grant used to say, approaching from the west, moving into the Great Lakes, and some high clouds, some little arms of high cloudiness, uh, stretching. There's one arm in New England, there's another arm in Pennsylvania. There's some scattered showers and thunderstorms across much of the South, in North Carolina, into Mississippi and Alabama. You can see the lightning strikes that are going on there. And there's going to be some severe weather up in the northern plains tonight. And that pretty much covers it. Much of the East really just had a very, very nice weather day today. And just a quick check of the tropics, since I've got the loop up and I want to get rid of it. There is a tropical, you can see a couple of systems here. So if you look in the Northwest Caribbean, what looks like is turning counterclockwise, but that's an upper low in the way up in the atmosphere. That's a cold upper feature that is moving westward. So that won't those types of systems can take many days to develop. They have to just sort of sit there for a while. And this one is moving along to the west. There's what looks like a tropical wave moving off the African coast, south of the Cape Verde Islands. Doesn't look all that well organized, but you know, conditions don't really look all that favorable in the tropics. If you look at the winds, for example, from Hispaniola east-northeast, those clouds are going from west to east, so that's telling you there are wind shear issues. The same holds in the Northwest Caribbean. You've got the higher clouds moving west to east, the lower clouds moving east to west. So for now, the tropics shall remain quiet. So radar's quiet. Ever since Joe Rayo took in charge of the radars have been quiet. Some showers in northern Maine. Otherwise, you can see the pop-ups in the southeast. You get the odd severe thunderstorm warning here and there and the odd flash flood warning, Joe, but that's really about it from that standpoint. And you've got some showers moving through the Great Lakes with a couple of thunderstorms there. And out to the west in Montana, seeing some showers and thunderstorms. And the Storm Prediction Center shows a slight risk of severe weather and a severe thunderstorm watch up for parts of central and western Montana. And we have a whittling away at a severe thunderstorm watch in northeastern Illinois under a slight risk of severe weather. Now, for tomorrow, and I want I would like your never to be humble opinion on this. So tomorrow, marginal risk goes to about New York City, down along coastal New Jersey, southeast PA, central PA, western PA, and points westward, all in the slight risk, and that extends all the way back to the plains, where you've got two areas of enhanced risk, including one in Nebraska, northeastern Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, northwest Iowa, southwest Minnesota, and also in eastern Montana, southwest North Dakota, and northwestern South Dakota. I love when you have to do that, where you've got a state that's got a north or a south, and you got to do these extra directionals here. I don't, the air is so dry ahead of it. I just wonder for tomorrow, how I'm not thinking they're going to extend the severe weather threats further to the east. I think they're pretty much going to hold the way they've got them.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think, and part of it is, due to, diurnal effects. I think a lot of this activity that you see popping up for central or east central Pennsylvania, putting it in the slight or marginal category into New Jersey, that's going to be around during the late afternoon and early evening. And by the time any of those cells make their way into our neck of the woods, they're going to be petering out some. So I don't think that we really need to worry too much. We will probably get a little wet here by the end of tomorrow or into tomorrow night, but a lot of the action, if you will looks like it's going to stay just off to the west of the immediate tri-state area.
And by the way, in that slight risk zone, that also comes with a 2% tornado risk. On day 3, which takes us now Wednesday into Thursday, marginal risk into southern New Jersey, slight risk southern Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And then that goes northwest through the central Appalachians into Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Iowa, and also another area of slight risk up in Montana into western South Dakota. Beyond day 3, it's just a long stretch of predictability is too low going into the end of the week when we'll have another cold front to deal with. The WPC, in terms of rainfall amounts, uh, very bullish with rainfall amounts from southeastern Virginia to South Carolina showing several or more inches over the next 7 days. The inch and a half plus line gets into south central PA, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half in southern New Jersey down into Delaware, but then it kind of cuts off around New York City, and then you've got less than a half and even less than 1/4 of an inch, except for a few pockets up in northern New England and northeastern New York. The rest of New England and New York State generally under 1/4 of an inch or less over the next 7 days, so not really showing much of anything. Most of Texas, Oklahoma, into Missouri and Kansas, and part of this has to do with the upper high, the quote-unquote heat dome that is set there. No rain being forecast. Little monsoon action still continuing in parts of the Southwest. Seeing also some rainfall amounts western North Dakota into Montana. It's been raining a lot up there this spring and summer, and that continues, and pretty dry up into the Pacific Northwest. So the models, Joe, to me, it's, as I said, 2 days on, then a cold front, then 2 days on, then a cold front. Here comes the next one for Tuesday. You and I both pointed out it doesn't look like it's going to be a candidate for widespread severe weather, as far as I can see. Wednesday, you get these fronts kind of get hung up for a short time. That seems to be the habit lately. Wednesday morning, and then they sort of push to the south, and then it looks like we've got another cold front with another warm front, cold front set up for later Thursday into Friday with some chances for showers and storms. Then another dry high and another cool high for the weekend and into the first part of next week before the next round of cold fronts come along. In fact, when I looked at this, bring the anomalies up, the 2-meter temperature anomalies, there was, and I'm guessing it's still there. Let's take a look. Let's go backwards a little bit. It's not quite as robust, but it does show temperatures near or a little bit below average going through next weekend and into Monday. And the dew points, been looking at these dew points a lot lately. Once again, we get some really a nice push of dew points going down for a little bit on Friday afternoon, but really the main push comes for Sunday and Monday, where we see the GFS at least trying to push dew points down into the 50s and even some 40s in a few places. So that works for me.
It looks like it will turn out to be another very, very nice weather weekend. Maybe some leftover clouds and maybe even a lingering shower early. Let's underscore that word, early on Saturday from this vantage point. And then as high pressure gradually pushes in from the north and west, it looks like it will just get better and better and better from later Saturday through Saturday night and right on into Sunday as well. And even if you have next Monday off, the 11th of July, that too looks like a pretty nice day. Very, very, very nice weather. Again, nothing long term on the maps that suggest that we're going to be seeing any protracted or prolonged spell of heat and humidity. I mean, yeah, we will have the odd day here and there when the temperatures will get well up in the 80s or even go to above 90, but a short term. I mean, it's not like some summers where you get into that type of pattern and you just stay there for a week or 10 days. So far, and things can change later on in this month or into August, but so far, no real sign of any prolonged or long-term spell of hot weather or oppressively humid weather. in the tri-state and the Northeast.
By the way, I'm just looking at the European. The European was the GFS was kind of aggressive overnight and this morning, with the robust high coming down at the end of the week and next weekend. It's kind of backed off a little bit today, but the European actually has got a fairly robust high, and the 558 thickness gets down close to southern New England for a half a day or so. So it kind of supports the notion that the push of cool, dry air will be relatively significant. And then going after that, there's another cold front later on. Now we're now into the week of the 11th, July 11th. It looks like there's another cold front coming through sometime probably in the middle of that week. And you can look at the map and see that there's another push of cool air coming down from the north. As far as the temperatures, I just want to bring up the 2-meter temperatures here to show you where the heat actually is. It is, well, let's get to the high temperatures anyway. Roll it back. So if you want heat, the place, Texas, Oklahoma, that's really kind of been the place. And trying to get back here on the, okay, here we go. So for tomorrow, for example, we've got 100-degree readings in Texas, in Oklahoma, in Missouri, St. Louis, getting over 100 here on the models into southern Iowa, Kansas in the middle to upper 90s, Illinois mostly middle to upper 90s. We go to the next day, which is Wednesday. It's a little bit smaller, but still a sizable area of 100 plus temperatures from Texas to Missouri. Then we go to the Thursday, Joe. It's again Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, all 100 plus, middle 90s across the Gulf states. And moving along, we go to Friday, virtually the same spot. It's a little cooler as you go up into the northern plains and also up into the Great Lakes. And we'll move to Saturday. The push is a little bit further to the south. 100-degree readings confined to Oklahoma and Texas, and middle 90s across the Gulf states. And for Sunday, it's Texas, Oklahoma, West Kansas, eastern Colorado. So there's where your ridging is. It's a flat east-west upper high that occasionally bulges northward and then gets suppressed slightly southward. It is not, there's all this talk. I know it's been very much of record warm temperatures in May and June over many areas like in Texas and Oklahoma and so on. But Joe, I can remember heat domes that have covered much larger geographic areas than this and affected far more many states than this one has. I don't know. I'm just kind of I'm a little underwhelmed at. I mean, I know the heat's a big deal. I get that. The dry conditions are a big deal. I do get that, and I don't want to understate it for those areas that are getting 100 plus. But this is not a summer, it seems, where that heat is building to other areas of the country. It doesn't seem to be the case, at least so far.
Well, I can remember the summers of 88, 1988, and 1999. My goodness, 1999 in our neck of the woods. Virtually every day that month of July, we saw temperatures in the 90s, and there were a few days, more than a few days, I think maybe 3 or 4 days, where the temperatures actually cracked 100. It was one of the hottest summers that I could remember. And in fact, that month of July, I think, still is in the record books as the hottest July on record. 88 was a year of the streaks or strings of long strings of hot weather. I mean, we had 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive days where the temperatures were at or above 90 in 88, and that started in June and continued into July, and then suddenly shut off in the very early part of August. But again, I agree with you, Joe. I mean, I remember in those 2 years, 88 and 99, there was some areas of very, I mean, I was talking about heights, 500 millibar heights approaching 600 here in
Yeah,
the east.
yeah,
I mean,
I
that
remember that.
those are the summers of suffering. And so far, we have not had much to suffer here in this year of 2022
Yep. Brandon
in
Doherty.
this part of the country. In
Oh yeah,
this part of
yeah,
the country.
absolutely. And the pattern is not supportive of one of these sort of building heat ridges that goes from coast to coast. It's just not there. Brandon Doherty hitting super chat tonight. Joe, he says hello to you because apparently he's having trouble um when he puts on the chat board to say hello to you that he can't, you put that at Joe Rayo and for some reason it's not coming up. I'm not sure why. Um but anyway, I'm passing the message along. And by the way, Brandon's also put up his link for those of you who want to follow weather in Delaware. You can go to his Delaware Weather Guy website, and the link is up there on the chat board for your enjoyment and your convenience.
Well, first
So,
of all, thank you to Brendan for the hello, hi to you, and also today, Joe. Interesting, the Earth was farthest from the sun for this year at 3:11 a.m. If you happen to be up, and coincidentally, I was not at that particular moment, but within a few minutes of that, I was up. Nature calls
yeah,
sometimes at night.
I'll
But
say.
at that particular moment in time, 3:11 a.m. this morning, we being the Earth, we were at a distance of 94,509,598 miles. Now, most people think that the Earth is closest to the sun at this time of the year, but in reality, we were about 3 million miles closer to the sun back in the early part of January, January the 4th, to be exact. We're closest in the winter and we're farthest away in the summer. And people say, how is that possible? And it's possible because of the tilt of the Earth. The Earth, at this time of the year, the northern hemisphere is tilted, 23 and a half degrees toward the sun. That means that daylight, sun is above the horizon now for about 15 hours and warms us up very nice and toasty, as opposed to the wintertime when the southern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, the northern hemisphere is tilted away, and we only have about 9 hours of sunlight. But that's 6 full hours of sunlight that we're being deprived of. And that's the reason why it gets so cold in the winter as opposed to the summertime. But
Right.
anyway,
And
we were farthest away from the sun. And after today, we're getting closer to the sun and we'll reach our closest point, perihelion, as it's called,
right.
in the early part of next
And
January.
by the way, people forget there's a southern hemisphere where it's winter time. So for there, if you're if it for those folks, it makes complete sense. And this, it's intuitive to make the notion and say, okay, it's winter time and the sun is furthest away. So for the southern hemisphere, it works fine. In the northern hemisphere, obviously, it's different, but it's all about the sun angle. The distance, by the way, when you calculate the distance between when it's the furthest away and the closest, it's what is it, about a million miles or a million and a half miles? So you're
Three,
talking
three,
about,
3 million.
is it 3 million? So you're talking about,
3 million.
all right, so you're talking about a 3% difference in terms of the mileage position, and I don't think that the 3% difference is enough to make a big change, have a big impact. So uh, anyway, it, it's all about the sun angle and not
Yes.
not not about the distance. So
Yes.
anyhow, uh, so let's call it a night because sunset's coming and folks are going to be going to their fireworks shows or watching it on TV or whatever it is they're going to be doing. So I hope everybody had a wonderful Independence Day. Thanks for being here and taking time out of your busy schedules to
Oh, I have
be
one more
part of this
thing, Joe.
show.
One more thing before.
Yes.
Is it possible for me to share something?
Yeah. Sure. Just a moment. Where are you? Okay, you're there. Go ahead. It's all yours.
I want to share this one picture, especially with you. That is who you were watching on Perry Mason,
Yes.
season 1, episode 15. That is Judy Tyler, and Judy Tyler career began on the TV show Howdy Doody when she was Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring. And as I mentioned on Sunday, she had a voice a tremendous voice. They said she sang like Judy Garland. She could belt out Broadway hit tunes like Ethel Merman. And she was really a fabulous entertainer. And sadly, I think at the age of 25, she and her husband were killed in a car accident. And Elvis Presley, she was co-starred with Elvis Presley in the movie Jailhouse Rock. To all of you Elvis fans, if you remember the young lady who was with him in Jailhouse Rock, that was the lady that you see on the screen right now, Judy Tyler. And Elvis was so devastated after learning that she had been killed in the car accident. He never, of all of his movies, all of his films and concerts, he never, ever watched Jailhouse Rock because he was so devastated by her passing. But anyway,
And,
that's Judy. And if you have Me TV, I know Joe has the whole DVD set probably, but if you if you
no.
want to see Judy Tyler, if you want to see Judy Tyler on Perry Mason, she'll be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Me TV. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing that episode
I'm
because
watching Perry Mason on Freevee.
on
Okay, on
Freevee.
Freevee,
Okay.
which if you have Amazon Prime, if you search Perry Mason, or if you search a bunch of TV shows, it may take you to Freevee in order to watch it. So, and yes, court is about to they adjourned till 10 a.m. So in TV time, it is now 10 a.m. The next day, and they're about to reconvene to wrap up this case. So on that note, everybody have a great night. Enjoy the fireworks tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time. Nighty night, everybody.
Night night all. Stay safe.